Hey, in this video I wanted to build upon this whole concept of this solar awning portable setup that we talked about in the previous video. So you can consider this like part 2. You know, we put together this little portable solar panel with the frame and suction cups to mount it to the side of the RV, and you guys really had some great comments and suggestions on that video. So today I wanted to take some of those comments and questions and answer them and address some of those concerns you had, as well as come up with some ways, implementing some of your own ideas to make this whole thing even better, and even come up with a larger version too. So that's what's coming up. Stick around, guys. Hey, well, thanks for joining me for another video today. I'm Brian with RVwithtito.com, and it's been really fun for me to go through all of your comments and questions that you guys had on the previous video. I thought it was a pretty cool build, and I think you guys really enjoyed it as well. Today I wanted to do a follow-up and actually build on this whole concept, and I had a couple more ideas and things that came to me after reading all your comments that I wanted to share with you. And I know you guys had a lot of great tips and ideas as well as some questions and concerns about this whole setup. So let's go ahead and dive right into that. And before we do, I wanted to mention that if you guys haven't seen the other video, I encourage you to go back and watch that, because I'm not going to cover a lot of the details of how we put this together. Some of them, but not a lot of them. So if you're curious in the why and the what and the how stuff, you know, and the whole setup for charging, the whole charge controller end of this and the battery part, go back and watch that one. It's got a lot of good information. And also, as usual, there's going to be more information in the video description here if you guys are interested in actually building one of these things and taking on this project. Now, one of the suggestions that a few of you actually had was to use some cross braces on the legs of this setup, because I had 2 legs, one on either side, and you have to kind of move each of them individually. And yeah, why didn't I think of that? It's a great idea to actually join them together using some sort of cross brace. So what I ended up doing is just removing the tips from the end of the legs and just putting some L fittings in there. And what I had to do is actually shorten them just a little bit and put the L fittings on, and then cut a piece to fit right in the middle. So once you connect them together, you got one piece that forms the legs of this panel and the support system. So when you adjust it, you just simply move that whole thing up and down. You don't have to adjust individual legs. So that's been a great suggestion. Now, another point that somebody wanted to make was, hey, it looks like these things would really bang around, possibly scratch the side of your RV. So yeah, with the hard plastic ends on those, that certainly is a possibility. So there's a couple of options. One of them is to actually put something on the end that's a little softer. And what I actually found at Walmart for just about $2, I think it's under $2, were these chair tips is what they're called. And they're just rubber tips that you would put on the end of the leg of a chair, and it comes with 4, and they just happen to fit this 1/2-inch PVC perfectly. So you just fit them on the end, and if that's what you're using, just go ahead and put them on the end, and they'll just rest and have a nice little soft surface for those legs and not scratch up anything. Now, the other option is to actually get some, I tried this out, some corner pieces for plumbing pipe insulator, and I picked up a couple of these because they seem to be something worth trying, and they're nice and soft. So you can put these right on the corners that form the L, and they're a little bit big, so you just kind of fit them on there. And I just used a couple pieces of what you call it, zip ties, a couple of zip ties to actually fasten them in there, just so they don't fall off or anything. A few of you were asking about wind. Now, it seemed like with these things they weren't really secured at the bottom, so if it was really windy outside, you're like, how are these going to function in the wind? Are they going to fly around? Are they going to bang on the side of your RV? So You know, with those other two suggestions, those would certainly soften up, you know, the legs, you know, when they make contact with the side of the RV. But a better option is actually to mount the mount some of those suction cups to the cross brace of this portable panel. Get a couple more suction cups, or even one actually would do it for a small panel, and simply just mount it to the cross brace on that leg, and that should keep that awning really secure. Now, a lot of you guys are, you know, I know are kind of opting for the a larger panel, say like a 100-watt flexible solar panel, and they're asking, how come I went with the 50-watt panels instead of a 100-watt panel? And you know, so the reason was because of the size of my windows that I was going for. But say you wanted to use a 100-watt panel on a window like this, it's a longer window, it seems like the better option, right? So I wanted to go ahead and tackle that one as well, and I got a 100-watt panel, and I wanted to build a frame for that. Building this frame was very similar, obviously, to, you know, how we put together the smaller ones. The only difference, obviously, is that the dimensions of this larger panel are different than the small panel. So, you know, I needed to use, you know, some longer pieces and cut them to size. Now, I decided not to put the legs on the inside of the frame this time on this larger panel. And the reason is because I wanted to use it on a window that actually had, you know, slides on it. So I need to be able to open and close the window, and I didn't want to have this these legs sitting on top of the window, or even with a suction cup sitting on top of the window. What I ended up doing is measuring the window first, and I wanted to be able to extend the frame to the outside of the window so that I could still use the window and open and close it without, you know, having the frame of the solar panel getting in the way. Using those chair tip rubber ends on the legs of these actually is a good solution as well, if you just wanted to be able to quickly put it up and you weren't concerned about wind and things like that. But what I also found a better solution to be is to actually use those suction cups again. Simply remove the center screw in the suction cup and drill a hole through the end of the PVC, and then just reinsert that screw inside that suction cup frame, and it just fits perfectly, and you just put it about a ½ inch from the end of the tube. So now we've got a panel that actually spans the length of a larger window without obstructing the window or, you know, limiting how you can open and close the window. And it's got suction cups on the top just like the other ones, and two legs on either side that actually mount to the side of the RV and that are easy to move if you need to. Now, some of you asked about storage, and you were concerned about, you know, how much space do I need to actually store these when I'm not using them. And the nice thing is that these PVC frames aren't actually glued together, since we're not pressurizing them or putting water in them or anything like that. So it's not necessary to actually glue them together like you normally would with PVC. So you can simply just take them apart and put them in a bag or something. And the flexible solar panel is really flat, so what I've done is actually stored it under a mattress or a cushion or something like that, or even in the back of my closet. If you're concerned about, you know, being able to fit all the pieces together again, I came up with another solution, and it's really not my idea. If you've ever put together a tent, that's kind of where I got this idea from, and that is to actually take the frame and insert a string inside of it, so that when you actually take it apart, it folds nicely together, so you can just stash it in a you know, compartment somewhere. But then when you actually go to put it back together, everything's still kind of connected together. So all you have to do is attach those fittings together without having to figure out how to put this puzzle back together. So you can just put it in a bag and stash it somewhere, and then just quickly reassemble it when you need it. Hey, well, I hope you guys enjoyed these upgrades, and I'm really curious to see what you guys come up with, and I'm also curious to see what comments you have on this particular build and suggestions you have to make this even better as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and if you are joining us for the first time, please subscribe so you don't miss any new videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hey, I'm really interested in... I bit my lip. You know, I'm really curious to see what you guys come up with now, and what your comments suggest. So let's just keep it rolling. And what was I gonna say?